lines. Notice the little fellow down there? He's got his mask down. That's not what we want to do. We want to get masked up at this moment because we're about to sing and pledge and do things like that, and you're stuck standing up anyway, so this is a good time to put your mask on. And thank you for doing that. Set up, takedown, champion, Jim Gilliam. Woo! And while we're up and we're shouting out to people, Esmeralda. Yay! Thank you for breakfast. It's quite lovely. You're doing a great job. We're really happy that you're here. And go on down the street. You can eat with Esmeralda every day if you want to. All you got to do is go to the Gravenstein Cafe on Main Street. Whoa! Oh! Okay, who finds me? Get my money.
$1.50.
$1.50, I only got 5. That's good, I can do more crap.
Was that a self-fine?
Yeah, that's, well, I got fined by virtually everybody.
Well, we can do that.
Yeah, I've been paying in, I just haven't been telling you guys. So, thank you, PJ, and the folks who greeted everybody. Lori, you are a perennial greeter, aren't you? I am. That is what you do. That's so much a part of who you are. Really grateful for that. And Michael McLaughlin, have you memorized the pledge?
Yeah, face the flag.
All right, we'll help you. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I sure want to start singing My Country 'Tis of Thee after that, but I'm not going to. Scott Hensey has a thought, and there he is. Oh, hold on, we need that guy to be mic'd. And if you touch the mic first, you're the mic master, right? Is that how it works?
Sure. Scott, if you don't.
Good morning, club. Good morning, President DMR. My thought today comes with a little story. You see from the picture there that a couple weeks ago, a giant oak tree in my backyard decided to fall. And it fell between the houses. If it went left, it would have hit the house right where I was sitting. I was like 10 feet away. So my thought today is live every day to its fullest, because you never know when you're going to get squished by a tree.
That is a good thought. Yeah, I'll bet. So you were there, you heard it? Whoa, that's exciting. A schizophrenic oak. Rod McCauley, leading with masks and words. Let's get him up here and get the mic going.
All right.
Do you need a chair?
Oh, short jokes? Fine for you. Who do you want to give to?
Ben gets really nervous when I get up on the chair.
That's okay, you can give anyway.
Marty.
You know, Joe Gass and I agree on a lot of things, but we rarely see eye to eye. Usually I say it's eye to
Closer,
belly button.
closer.
Really? Okay.
Oh,
Labor
geez.
Day was Monday, and
Oh, yes,
Higher.
a spotter. He's your spotter.
Oh, no, I'm not standing back there.
Okay, well, Monday was Labor Day. We're thinking of what do you got? And this land is my land. Keep it real close. Okay, I'm sorry. So we're the best singing club in Sonoma County, if not more. So give it your all. This land is my land. This land is your land. From California to New York Island, redwood forests to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking
This highway, I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. Verse. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the Inward Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Yay! He's so spry. How many people can jump up on a chair like Rod does? It's only the short guys who can do that, you know that? Tall people are too tall. And Zoom guests and Zoom participants, who is in the audience? Let's see who's there. Oh my goodness. We've got Dan Needham. Hello, Jim. Linton, nice to see you. Linton, are you in your new house? And there's Linda Cinque, Diana Curtis, Al Lustig, Bill Schlutius.
Did you say Linton?
I said Linton. Are you in your new house?
I'm in Zoom.
Yes, you're in the Zoom world. That's true. And Barbara Bonney. Barbara Bonney gets a call from me every single day. Poor soul. She moved to Washington, but she didn't change her phone number. It is time for us to mute all, and folks in the audience, in the Zoom audience, you know that all you need to do is be ready to hover. Take your
David, unmute yourself. Unmute, David.
I second that. David, we cannot hear you. It doesn't say mute on his thing, it doesn't have the red.
Well, then it must be Michael Cook.
Can you guys hear me now?
Okay. Now we
Okay,
can
sorry
hear
for
you.
technical difficulties. We can't get through a whole morning without them. So would you once again introduce Tim, because folk out there were not able to hear. And there we go.
I would like to introduce our speaker of the day, Tim Miller from West County Community Service.
Tim Miller, welcome. Glad you're here. Going to be speaking in a little bit. He's filling up on coffee, so he'll be all set. Now it's time for us to mute those guys, if it's not done already. There we go. Now, a little Rotary inspiration. Check this out and think about it all day if you would. Be so vibrant that you leave a bit of color in every life you touch. And we definitely have some colorful people here. Whoa, but they're all steaming up. We've got some colorful people here, so be that today. How about it? Happy birthday. We don't get to greet them directly, but if you, when Joyce comes back from Kenya, isn't it? When Joyce comes back, know that she's turned another year. And John Boletto on the 14th. Go on over there, raise a glass with him. I'm sure he'd be happy. So happy birthday to those guys. And magic moments, a little surprise. Marty. So Oliver was busy licking stamps or actually eating stamps and
He was
considering,
eating stamps.
was he gonna mail himself somewhere?
I think so, maybe mail himself back home. Don't know, but I salvaged some of them. I was able to salvage some of them, so.
Yeah, so, how many stamps did he get? I mean, was it enough to go to Alaska or something?
It was, well, they're what, $55 worth, so he got probably,
They're nickel stamps.
he probably got $25 worth.
Wow,
Good job.
wow. I've heard that, in the pioneer days, you could basically put postage on a kid and send your kid somewhere through the postal service. I've read it anyway. And I added this photo of the Scouts because, you know, just recognizing that your continued interest and support in Scouting is really exemplary and wonderful.
Yes, and speaking of that, I'd like to tell you a story, a very brief 9/11 story that is a true story. 9/11 happens, and of course, you know, I've got parents calling the school saying, you know, I'm gonna come pick my kid up. And, you know, I can kind of be a smart ass sometimes, you know. So I said to the parent, let me get this straight. The World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and Anley High School. And she stopped and she says, you're right, he's better off there with friends watching this with his friends, thank you. And then the other thing, which is a true story, and James Conner can tell you it was a true story because he was sitting in my office, is my secretary comes in, she says, the Pentagon is on the phone. And James Conner rolls his eyes like somebody. And my secretary says, no, I think it's serious. I think the caller is from the Pentagon. So I answer the phone, and he says, this is Major Rotary. I'm at the Pentagon in room 210. You have a student. The student's mother is a colonel in the Air Force. Her father is a captain of the Navy. They are assigned to the Pentagon. I want you to go up and tell him that his parents are okay. And I said, you realize if I go up there and call him out of the room, that he's going to think I'm going to tell him something's happened to his parents. He said, I understand that, but they want him to be notified that they're okay. Kid lived with his grandmother right across from the school, why both parents were inactive. That's a true story of 9/11 in Sebastopol.
Well, thank you for that, Marty. That's a great story. And I know you're all paid up, just like everybody's all paid up. But Patrick and Lori were talking to me today and they were saying, you know, we want to be fined. I said, well, it's voluntary, you know, people make a contribution when they want to. They said, no, maybe you should be fining people. How many people think we should be giving people an occasional little fine and an opportunity to give whether they want to or not? Hold your hands up if you like that idea. How many people don't really like that idea and want to volunteer their money when they want to do it? Okay, those of you who raised your hands, be sure to fine yourselves and tell us you're doing it. Those of you who don't, contribute anyway. How's that sound? Does that sound good? Magic moments. Terry, this is a magic moment. Tell us what's going on here. You got the mic? We need the mic, and we need to use good mic etiquette, getting it real close to your mouth.
There, thank you. Yeah, that's my son in the middle and his two partners. They are opening a restaurant in Healdsburg. Sean has been a chef since he was in high school. And he's familiar to the Underwood, and then he kind of moved around a little bit and built out a couple of places. And this kind of fell in their lap. That is the old Mateo's location in Healdsburg. Right as you come into town, it's a great spot, a beautiful back porch, and we're excited for it. And they needed X number of dollars to raise before they, I think they said it in the article, $750,000. And it was almost overnight, enough friends and family jumped in and helped them out. And it'll be fun, and we'll do something up there. We'll do a first Friday or do something up there once they get the ball rolling. Hoping to open by the end of the year. I'm not sure yet, but it's not going to be overly eclectic.
Yeah, they're talking about the food stuff.
No.
Oh, I know what you're.
Thank you.
Yeah, the folks in the Zoom can't hear that, but.
Yeah,
Okay,
great press.
and First Friday, Kathy, would you tell us a little bit about what happened? How many people showed up?
We had 39 people. Yeah. And that picture, those are wonderful pictures, aren't they? That table with, you guys, you should frame that one. And of course, that's Scott.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of past members come and guests, like there's Vicky and Nancy, and there were other past members, right? Oh yeah, Dewey and his wife, and Gay and her friend, and Pam Davis, and then my friend from Columbia who just got on the flight last night at 9 o'clock, so I'm tired. So,
And did I see Summer Morris was gonna come?
no, she was a maybe and she was a no-show.
Got it.
Yeah.
Too bad.
So anyway, it was fun.
Looks great.
We
Looks
did great
fabulous.
food. Mario did a great job. And everything, all the tables were set up so wonderful. It was good. Everyone had fun?
Yeah, thanks for putting that together. Really wonderful of you to do that. And the food was good, right? Yeah. Okay, so I got a question. What makes you feel grateful? Let's hear from Lori.
We're gonna hear from Lori. So I have two things to be grateful for. In my younger years, we had a speedboat, and every weekend from May to September, we were up at Lake Mendocino from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. when the water was rough. We went on tubes, we water skied, and then we got a little bit older, we sold the boat, and husband got the fishing boat, sold the fishing boat because he's disabled. We went this weekend up to a friend's house in Lake Oroville, which has no water, but they have some place called Afterbay, and the water temperature is about 70 degrees. They have a pontoon boat, because they're old, we're old, and I actually pulled out the water skis and water skied behind a pontoon boat this weekend, 30 years. So that was pretty cool, and I got up and nobody else could, so that was great. But my most magic moment was this morning when I come from Pioneer, Willow Side Occidental, and I came over here on High School Road. And guess what? Sometime probably yesterday. The sign to the Rotary Club of Sebastopol. Super cool, so you guys should go check that out. And
We gotta get a photo.
Yeah.
Stop and get a photo, send it in so we can all look at it, or we'll go do a trip out there.
There you go. So I'll make a donation to the foundation because I'm happy and grateful for having a good life.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you very much. Who else feels grateful and wants to share that?
Well, you all know that a year ago, Mary and I had our 50th, and we had a big party planned up at the scene of the crime in Seattle. And it didn't happen. So we rescheduled this, and so a week ago, Mary and I drove up to Seattle, and we had a little charter boat and chugged around Lake Union, Washington, 30 friends from up there, and had a wonderful celebration of 50+1. And Mary's older brother got married the same summer of 1970. So it was a joint celebration. And everybody showed up, and everybody had a good time. And I have no news that anybody got sick or the plague as a result of this celebration. And so I'm very grateful for that, and we'll put in at least $50+1 to the foundation. So.
Thank you both. We'll need to keep on moving, but just be thinking about what you've got gratitude for, because there's a lot to love in this world. So this is our Rotary International President from the Rotary Club of Calcutta in India, Shekhar Mehta. And let's see if we're going to make him play. This is the surprise I'm playing on Michael. Good luck to us both. Surprises on me. You like it?
Great job.
Okay, well, that's enough of that. General announcements. It worked in theory. Oh God, these glasses keep steaming up. I'm just too hot. So, if we want other Rotary clubs and other organizations in our area to support us, what should we do? Obviously. So, if you like the idea of going and sitting and playing bingo with folk, with lots of cash prizes and exciting stuff, the Rotary Club of Rancho Cotati in Rohnert Park would love for you to show up. I'll send this out in an email so you don't need to whip out your phones, take them off Wi-Fi and take a picture. Or put them on Wi-Fi and take a picture. So there we go. They say, join us for an evening of fun, and contact are the presidents of that. I'll send it to you. Volunteers needed. Jim, that was fabulous that you came in today and helped us with setting up. But the process of setting up and breaking down is kind of, it is strong and needed. So if you're able and you're willing to get up a little bit early for a bit, that would be it. And when Natalie reaches out to you, please, please, please say yes. District conference coming up, the 8th and the 9th. Looking forward to it. Anybody besides me signed up? Oh, there's going to be so much wine. So much wine, because I understand there's like 100 cases and 100 people. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that myself, but don't expect me for a couple of weeks afterwards. Add these to your calendar. The virtual fundraiser for Santa Rosa East West is coming up on September 10th. And on the 13th, are we going hiking? What's happening on Monday? We don't know yet?
The hikers are all, the organizers are gone, which is Joe and Charlie, so for you know, actually, Monday is the work, day at Ives Park, working on the stage, so.
Hold on a second. Let's get that on the mic.
Monday and part of Tuesday are work sessions at Ives Park. We are working on the stage, and I know that Joe is going to be doing that, so I don't know about the height. Starts at 9 a.m. and we don't need a lot of people because we're digging post holes and building a ramp, but by all means, stop by and say hello.
So there you go. Can you shoot me a little message about that, and I'll let people know that they can come by and watch you work. It'll be just like Caltrans. And membership committee on the 14th, 5:30, is that correct? Be there or be square. And Apple Blossom Parade, Diana Curtis, September the 18th, it's coming up. Superheroes, and Mike over there, please.
Yeah, we're going to be, that's just 10 days away. And I heard from Albus Howell from the Noon Club today. The signs are ready, and we're looking forward to it. I'm hoping that we have quite a few people from our club showing up to walk in the parade and spread the thought of community and volunteering to help our community. But thanks a lot.
Thank you, Diana.
David?
Yes.
So 2 months ago, I called the chamber and asked them if they wanted us to announce, because for the last number of years, we've been parade announcers. And I got a call last week And yes, they do, and so we just need the equipment, and Kathy and I and Joe, hopefully Joe can do that, and Scott. So anyway, we'll be there announcing as y'all roll by on the parade float, and giving support that way, so we are involved in this event.
Cool. So like if we go around the corner, around the block and get back in again, can we get announced twice?
Everybody that's talking will announce you, because there's always several.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to do that, you just need to, we'll just keep announcing.
Okay, there we are. So, September 22nd, September 20th, a board meeting. Everybody is invited. This will be on Zoom. And September 22nd, we're going to have a club assembly. Those of you who are in leadership positions begin to contemplate what it is that what it is that you have to offer members and why they would want to join and work with you. So be prepared for that, and that'll be the meeting. And let's have all hands on deck, everybody here, because an assembly isn't an assembly unless all people are all present, right? So please plan to do that. Think about September 22nd. And on the 29th, we do not have use of this hall. It got booked before we came back and said we want to move in again. So on the 29th, I've been looking for an away game, and if you've got an idea, please share it with me. I did try to book something that didn't work, and I'm open to ideas, or we'll all be on Zoom. Kathy, you've got a suggestion.
Remember we had the thing that's out in West County at the logging camp? It was like a picnic.
Yeah,
Sturgeon's
Sturgeon
Mill
Camp.
would be really fun.
California Carnivores, I heard California Carnivores from in the back.
The other thing maybe is, I don't know if Sunshine Cafe is open that early, but maybe we all go down there
Oh!
and see her place, if she has a big enough space for everybody. Just a thought.
Well, yeah, we'll go to Old Main right after, right? Yeah, they're open at that time. They're just closing at that time. And September 29th, International Committee would be meeting right after, so you could stay there and continue to meet. And on the October the 27th, our district governor, Dustin Littlefield, will be visiting right here and standing at this spot. So, a couple of things. One is we're supposed to put him up somewhere, but not in our houses. Does anybody have a cottage or something like that, or a suggestion for where we would be able to put him up? An Airbnb? He needs his own individual space. He's not supposed to be stuck at our tables talking to us until late in the night and then not being able to get up in the morning. So if you've got an idea about that, that would be lovely. Please let me know and arrangements can be made. Next week's program, Michael Whitney on critical race theory. Why is the right so afraid of critical race theory? Those are his words, not mine. I'll just mention that critical race theory usually has to do with something. Marty, you used to teach it. What's it called? History? I think it's history.
There's some people that call that.
Mike, for him?
Will call that history. There's others who disagree with the critical race theory.
So what?
Changing. So
what he said is there's some people who call it history. There's some people who disagree with that theory. And this week's presenter is Tim Miller. And we've got an introduction. Come on up.
Members of the Sebastopol Sunrise Rotary Club, we have an outstanding speaker this morning, Mr. Tim Miller. He's in his 6th year as Executive Director of West County Community Services. Originally from San Jose, Tim graduated from UCSB and the Middlebury Institute of International Studies with degrees in political science and international policy, respectively. He served in the Peace Corps in the Philippines and has lived and worked in international development and refugee relief in Azerbaijan, China, and the Philippines. He also worked for the Red Cross for 13 years, Lastly, as the Regional Director for Northern California Coastal Region, Tim is married to Laura Magnusdottir, who is the Public Policy Director for the Community Child Care Council, 4Cs. They have 2 children and have lived in Sonoma County, except for 1 year in the Philippines, since 2004. Lastly, Tim is a proud member of the Russian River Rotary. That's all I have to give a hand for Tim.
Hold on just. Tim, you're gonna have to start without slides.
All right.
Oh, it does.
This will work. Can you guys, is this all right? I'll take it out. So I appreciate the invitation very much. I am a proud member of Russian River Rotary, previously of Santa Rosa Sunrise Rotary for 8 years. And I want to thank one of your disappeared members, Dan Needham. Dan was the guy who introduced me to Rotary and to my sponsor at Santa Rosa Sunrise. So Dan, good morning and thank you. I also want to thank President David. And there's 2 staff members here from West County Community Services. You know Anna Booker, who's our community outreach manager, and also Jennifer Lake is new to West County Community Services, but you're going to get to know her, and she is the home outreach coordinator for Greater Sebastopol. So she's full-time out here, and we're going to talk a little bit about the work that we do in that regard. So West County Community Services, just briefly, you want me to take over here?
Yep.
We've been around since 1978, and we have 4 core programs. I don't like to read slides. I'll let you guys do that. But those are our 4 key programs, and it's underpinned, as it says, by a crisis support fund. We have a fund that we use that our case managers direct people to, and it's an undesignated fund that we fundraise for. So if a kid needs shoes, if a wife's being beaten by her husband and needs 3 days in a motel, if somebody needs a new set of tires, we can do that immediately. And we do that in Sebastopol, all of West County. In Sebastopol, these are the services we directly provide. We have school counselors, as you noticed before. I'm going to be talking about the Emergency Rental Assistance Program at Paramount this morning. Park Village, many of you know, across from the Barlow, the housing project there. We've been managing that since 2017. I mentioned Jennifer and her work and crisis support that we use throughout West County. Today I'm really going to do a bit of a deep dive into 2 issues. I put the flyer on, I think, everyone's table in English and Spanish, so please feel free to take one and hand them out. And then also housing and homeless services, which is one of the 4 departments that I mentioned before. Emergency rental assistance program. So very often money will cascade, especially during COVID, from the feds to the state to the county. So the county received $32 million in, I believe it was April of this year, for emergency rental assistance and utility assistance for people who were affected by COVID, either landlords who couldn't receive rent from tenants because the tenants couldn't pay, and also the tenants themselves. 10 providers were one of them, were selected, Catholic Charities, North Bay Organizing Project, and others. And the goal was to basically keep people housed when they couldn't work due to COVID or pay rent during COVID-19. So we received out of 32, we received $4 million, and our catchment area is generally just West County. We include Roseland in that. We usually don't in our catchment area, but for these purposes, we do. As of last week, we completed 383 cases, of which 111 were in Sebastopol. A case can be a single, it doesn't mean individuals. A family could have 3 cases. They came back for another month's rent, et cetera. But as of last week, 111 in Sebastopol. We've given out over half the money now, and it has to be completed by December 31. And there's some, very tragic stories, as you might imagine, of people not being able to work, whole families economically wiped out, but at least they have a place to stay and live. And also, a lot of landlords are, this is their retirement plan, right? They own a second house, they own an apartment, they're renting it out to supplement their revenue, so their income. So it's really important, and it's a very, very cost-efficient and effective program. There's the, if you're interested, it's also on the flyer. That's the email for the program, and we have English and Spanish case managers that can work with people. It generally takes about 2 weeks from the moment you call till you receive the landlord. We never give the money to the individual. We always pay it to the landlord once we verify from both landlord and tenant that there is an issue. So that's the emergency rental assistance program, and I can take questions on that in a bit if anybody has one. Whoops. Housing and homeless services. Again, this is the Park Village. There's about 75 to 80 people currently living there, and it's an evolving project. For those of you who've been in the area longer than I, Park Village was for years it was a mobile home park. And at one point, the city decided that they wanted to make it a park and combine it with Tomodachi Park. So the city had a plan that they were going to do it through attrition, right? So I believe there are 26 spaces, and as someone moved out, they simply wouldn't replace that unit until they would reach a point that it was empty and they could maybe buy a few people out. Well, it's kind of stalled at about 18. There are 8 empty spaces, and people just didn't want to leave because mobile home laws, you can't, it's very special law. You can only increase the rent by 1%, 2%, 3% a year. So quite a few people have been there 25 years and they were paying maybe $400 a month rent. And where else were they going to go to get that kind of rent at a space when they own their own mobile home or a trailer in some cases? The problem with that was the city was losing money on those empty spaces, right? Because they weren't renting them out. And to have the people move on, they had to pay relocation costs, which could be up to $50,000 to get people out. So, and they didn't want to do that. So a local group here called the Group of Advocates, Gail, Ernie, and 5 or 6 others came to us and said, hey, is this an opportunity to take some of our homeless folks, people without homes, and move them into those 8 empty spots that have sewer, water, and electricity. There's already a community there. And so we did, and we talked to the city. The city was losing about $60,000 a year on the park. So we said, we can come in for about $95,000, which is $35,000 more, but we'll have a full-time case manager, we'll have a full-time on-site person who lives there, we'll raise the money for the trailers to move them in. And so, in essence, the city's losing, if you wish, $35,000 a year on the park, additional for the work that we do. So we have since then added 11 additional sites to the park. We purchased new trailers. We've moved homeless families all from Greater Sebastopol, and family of 4, family of 3, and individuals. And just recently, because we co-fundraise with the city in many cases, you can see this picture here. The new white spots, those are new RV pads. So 2 trailers from Morris Street have moved on to those pads. They pay rent, and so 2 additional families have moved on. About 20 people have been housed so far. Some people come in, they stabilize, they're out of the bushes for the first time in 6 months or 2 years, or they've been living in their car, and then they get employment and or a Section 8 voucher and or they reconnect with family because they're stable, and they moved on. And then we move people only from Sebastopol in. The Chief Braga says that the EMS calls to Park Village, because Park Village was kind of a rough place before, have dropped by over 90% since we took over the project, because we have a full-time case manager there 40 hours a week, working with people, not just the people who are formerly homeless, but there's a lot of folks there who are extremely low income, and just things like helping them get their SDI or do a job search, or work with the kid in school and connect the kids who live there to counselors and therapists, et cetera. So it's been very effective. We're also, if you drive by, kind of a long-term completion of when we took it over, there were this yellow apartment building, 4 empty 1-bedroom apartments, only 2 of which had bathrooms, because it was set up for the camping that used to take place on Tomodachi Park. but now it's being remodeled. We raised $220,000. The city raised another $100,000. And so we hope, in fact, we have a call on this on the 14th, that this will be ready to occupy in October, November. And we'll take two-bedroom apartments now. And we'll take more people out of Sebastopol that are on the street and move them inside. Just one quick note, I mean, one of the benefits of housing that's not often noticeable is we have one family who lives there, a family of 4, 2 small children. They were living in a shed, paying $600 a month without any running water, and he had cancer. But Sutter had to stop his cancer treatment because he wasn't on chemotherapy, because you need to be securely housed to receive chemotherapy because of your health. They won't take the liability of giving you what in effect is a poison, chemotherapy, unless you're in a healthy living place. So for 4 months he was out chemotherapy because he didn't have a place to live. By moving his family of 4 into the trailer, not only could the kids go to school, have a safe, clean place to live, but he could reinstate his chemotherapy. And this was 3 years now, and he's off chemotherapy and doing well. So what homeless services? I mean, Sebastopol has its share, right? I don't know if there's any community in the country that doesn't. But the key to effective homeless services is partnership. And that means, and this is why Jennifer is here, is the city has asked us and is funding in part or in total from the TOT that's being paid from the Sebastopol Inn, now Elderberry Commons. The city lost the TOT of that, so they got a lump sum from the county, and they're using part of that to afford this position. But it's building partnerships with already the church groups and other social service groups who are doing great work with homeless services, as well as police and fire in the city. How do we mitigate the impact of homelessness, particularly on the individuals who are homeless, but also community at large? So that's why Jennifer is here, and she's doing a great job, and we're working closely with the county and the lawyers and the church groups on what to do with folks in the Laguna, on Morris Street, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just now really getting moving in our end. And our effort is always, the goal is to, it's called harm reduction, is yes, we would like to see every single person housed, but you'd have to show me where is that house that that person's gonna go in and who's gonna pay for it. We do have success constantly of moving people into permanent housing, whether it's a family member or through a voucher, but it's a slow process with many, and some simply don't want to be housed. They want to live in their RV. They want to live in a campground. And so unless it's made illegal, that's where they're going to stay. So in cases like that, our goal is harm reduction. How can we create a safer environment for everybody? How can we get this person linked up to benefits to help them move on if and when they're ready? And building connections between those without homes and those with to kind of lower risk, lower anxiety, and create a safer environment for all. One of the things we're talking about now is safe parking. Some of you might have heard about that. Some of the churches in Sebastopol do safe parking, where they give up their parking lot at night, and people can come off the street, they park in a parking lot, and they have to be gone by morning. But it creates a safer environment for everybody because people don't necessarily want some quote-unquote strange car parked across from their house. People who are parked in that car would rather be in a safer place. So it's called safe parking. And that's something that's already happening in Sebastopol countywide, and there may be more upcoming. Fire danger is a big issue right now. And in the Laguna, there's been a few fires. I think we've probably seen what happened in Geyserville in the last couple of days. So spot fires are created by someone. We don't know if it's homeless related or not, we just don't know. Nevertheless, people living in the forest, people living outside, creates fire danger. So there's a lot of reasons why we need to focus, beyond the immediately obvious, on homeless services. It's the health and safety of the people who without homes, likewise with the community, but it's fire danger for people living outside, what they can create for the danger for themselves, environmental impact on the rivers, on the Laguna, on the streets, COVID-19 as well. And the human dignity of people without homes. If you're doing it by choice and you can remain self-contained, that's one thing, but many people can't. And the creation of garbage, the creation of human waste that's not properly contained, and of course the economic impact of businesses who are saying, hey, I pay my taxes, I'm safe, why can't these people, quote unquote, do that too? So we're cognizant of that, and that's why we need to work together as well. Did you have any questions, sir? No. Okay. Countywide, there's an effort going on. They're reviewing the strategic plan for homelessness. They're working for really the first time in a concerted effort with the cities. And all of us have had a business field, right? Whether it's wineries, whether it's education, and we always see the kind of the pendulum shifting from sustainable to organic to critical race theory. There's always kind of the new thing coming on now. Well, for several years now, housing first has been the mantra around housing and homelessness. And are you guys aware of housing first? What that is? Right. So basically, focus on the most vulnerable first, the people who are most difficult to house. Get them off the streets into housing, supportive housing. So number one, you save their life, and number two, generally speaking, those are the people that cost society the greatest in terms of economic impact, the most trips to the ER, the most police calls, the most ICU beds. So that's how it was looked upon, housing first, and that still remains the federal mandate. What's changing a little bit now is the focus on non-congregate versus congregate. We run an emergency winter shelter in Guerneville. It's typically open 4 months a year, from December 1 to March 31st, the coldest months of the year. We haven't been closed since December of 2019. We've been open now for 20 months. And we moved outside last summer for 5 months to the park and ride in Guerneville. It was too hot inside. We opened the tent camp at the park and ride in Guerneville. It went great. And we moved back inside. So a shelter, like a room like this with people on cots and blankets, that's a congregate shelter. A non-congregate shelter is like the tent camp, where everyone has their own individual living space. The data shows now, and the theory is that we need to start moving for those sheltering situations towards non-congregate. So my guess is, I don't know this for a fact, that we won't have a winter shelter by the Veterans Building next year. But if we do have something, it'll be more like a tent situation at an outdoor place where people can have more dignity, more privacy, and the results show that more people that are housed are able to decrease their anxiety and move forward. So that's just sharing that with you. And I think our ideas on what is acceptable housing is shifting. We have 3,000 roughly, 2,800 people without homes in this county. 2,000 of them outside, 1,000 of them inside. If you're couch surfing, you're technically homeless. And that number hasn't really budged. The number of permanent supportive housing units in the last 5 years has shrunk as landlords largely have stopped taking Section 8 vouchers. Not all. And so there's more and more looks on terms of what's happening at Los Guillicos and these pallet shelters, managed, safe, effective places that maybe we're not going to get everybody in 1, 2, 3 years into apartments because there simply isn't the housing stock. But if we really want to have an impact on all of the things we listed before, we need to start taking a look at less formal housing situations so we can get more people off the street for all those reasons. So in other words, moving from this, which is the Guerneville Veterans Building, and this is what it looks like inside, to something like the Guerneville Park and Ride that looked like this, that we ran for 5 months last summer. The task ahead, looking at more, say, parking sites and also non-congregate shelter sites. And that's kind of the broad way that the counties and cities are looking at tackling the homeless issue right now. That's it. So any questions or comments? Sir?
Here comes the mic.
Oh, here comes the mic.
So what's your thinking about tiny homes and micro homes that kind of replace tents as a better way to work with people that need a house but can't afford rent?
Right. So yeah, non-congregate would be any of those, right? A tent, a tiny home. I I think it makes sense. I mean, a tent, the tent setup we had at the park and ride, cot, sleeping bag, weights for the tent. It was about $400 per site. That's really cheap. The expensive thing is the staff and the food, etc. A pallet shelter, which they have those Gillicos, is about $7,000 a unit. They'll last 5 to 7 years. Rotary Park, there's a group called Quick Haven, which is building $13,000 9x9 homes out of real building materials. They're a startup. Quick Haven, you can look them up. I'm not advertising for them. I just spoke to them on the phone and looked at their website. I think that's the future, really, because I think, this is me talking personally, I think we're kidding ourselves. If we really want to get people off the street, we're not going to wait for 2,000 more apartment units to be built to get these folks in. If we're really serious about taking care of all those things, at least in my mind, that we talked about, we need to be more flexible in our thinking. If that's what we want to do, to less formal but managed, not a tent camp in the middle of the woods, with 24/7 management, even if it's one person, case management during the day, security at night, to do a 360 safety check on the community.
What kind of vocational
Yeah.
services do you have?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Vocational services. What kind of vocational services do you have?
For the homeless situation, or just as an agency?
For the homeless folks?
Okay. So our agency right now, we don't have vocational services per se. What we have is a full-time service navigator, case manager, who sits with the person, talks to them about what their goal is, Social Security card, SDI, employment, and we have an employment department too, and we work with them towards their goals. So our, if you will, vocational, what we do in that regard is help them find employment if they're interested.
How do you feel about rent control? Do you feel that it adds housing or loses housing?
I'll just be honest, I don't know. I think there's probably both sides of that issue. I think for our point of view, for our agency, the Section 8 vouchers are very, very effective way to get people who are homeless housed. The great thing about Section 8 is it's guaranteed rent, right? If our agency puts someone who was formerly homeless or anybody in your apartment that you own, and they skip on the rent, you still get paid. If they damage the building, we have to take care of it. So there's real benefits to it, and I know there's some apprehension, but Section 8 is a different gig than it used to be, and I hope people take a greater look at it.
Tim, thank you very much for joining us today. Great for you to come in. Wonderful work that you're doing, and it's so exemplary, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Great. You'll be seeing a lot of Jennifer, so thank you.
Yes, and Anna. Anna is our outreach person and about to be a member, I can almost guarantee it. So, a couple of things for the good of the order. Recognize one thing and give this some thought. To get a caterer, naturally, you have to guarantee them a certain number of breakfasts, and we don't quite, we're not meeting that standard, so we're paying into breakfast. Think about inviting guests just to come visit us, hear exemplary speakers like Tim, and give them the opportunity to be with us, and it costs us nothing in terms of feeding them breakfast, because guess what? We're paying for it anyway, so give that some thought. And welcome to Mike Carey. Saw you come in, and Hal appeared on the screen at one point. Hal, nice to see you. And let's hear the joke for the day from Linton Hale.
Hey, everyone. So I know it's supposed to be a PC joke, so I wanted to make a joke about personal computers. So whoever said that doing the same thing over and over again and again and again, expecting different results, is obsessive, compulsive, and delusional, has obviously never had to reboot a PC computer.
Yeah, we've all done that. And, Rod, you gonna take us out?
Okay, gang, on your feet,
Masks on.
masks on. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling.